For contemporary Americans, the colonial era often exists shrouded in a veil of myth and legend, an enchanting tapestry that weaves together the origins of our nation. Yet, as we reflect upon the lives of the Founding Fathers, we frequently overlook the gritty realities faced by ordinary colonists. Imagine a world where the struggles and triumphs of daily life echo the complexities we encounter today. Issues like intimate relationships before marriage, unexpected pregnancies, and the challenges of blended families. The stark realities of existence during this time were punctuated by hardships, short lifespans, the heart-wrenching loss of children, and experiences that might seem foreign to our modern sensibilities. By tracing the threads of your family's history, you may unearth the startling tribulations your ancestors endured and ultimately overcame. In today's captivating exploration, we venture into the peculiar customs that characterize colonial America, peeling back the layers of time to reveal the long-forgotten stories that define our heritage. Picture this: courtship practices that included the intimate act of sharing a bed. While we might conjure images of rigid sexual morals prevailing during the colonial period, the truth paints a different picture. In the mid to late 1700s, more than 1 in 3 brides walked down the aisle harboring a secret. They were already pregnant. Thus, don't be shocked if you discover a birth or baptism record within your ancestry that predates the wedding certificate by less than 9 months. One intriguing northern colonial custom likely fueled this phenomenon of premarital fertility. Bundling, or bed courting, was a practice where young, unmarried couples would share a bed overnight to assess their compatibility. This custom was particularly prevalent among the lower classes and those living on the frontier, likely due to the scarcity of fuel for warmth and light. In a bid to maintain modesty, couples were sometimes separated by a wooden board, where they would share a large bundling sack, sleeping in compartments that created a semblance of chastity. But life in colonial America was not merely about love and courtship. It was also about survival in a harsh reality where blended families became the norm. Marriages, on average, lasted less than a dozen years, a reflection of the high mortality rates that marked this era. By the year 1700, the average lifespan for Englishmen in Virginia hovered around 48 years. Heartbreakingly, one-third to one-half of all children experienced the loss of at least one parent before reaching the tender age of 21. In the southern colonies, the situation was even more dire. Over half of children aged 13 and under had lost at least one parent. As a consequence, remarriage became a frequent occurrence. For those delving into historical records, databases on marriage reveal the persistent cycle of loss and renewal in colonial family life. However, not all marriages were legally formalized. Many colonists viewed the cost of a formal wedding as an unattainable luxury. In colonial North Carolina, for instance, a marriage certificate could set one back a staggering £50, an entire year's salary for a teacher, or 6 months' pay for a minister. Given these economic barriers, many couples opted for a more informal approach to solidifying their unions. They would announce their intent to marry publicly, posting banns that were read aloud to the community over several weeks, a practice intended to alert potential challengers. Tragically, in a world where death was a constant companion, parents often braced themselves for the worst, an unspoken acceptance of the fragile nature of life. With most colonial women marrying around the age of 20, they typically bore between 7 and 10 children, a staggering number in a time when survival rates were precarious. 1 in 10 infants tragically perished before their first birthday, and a staggering 4 in 10 children did not live to see their 6th year. For enslaved children, the statistics were even more devastating. Up to half of all black children in the 1700s succumbed to death before reaching their first birthday. Even affluent families faced the unimaginable grief of losing children. Take, for instance, First Lady Martha Washington, who bore 4 children, all of whom she outlived. 2 of her little ones died before their 5th birthday, one at age 17 and another from illness at the age of 26. Colonial America was an arena of stark contrasts, where the romanticized tales of gallant heroes and virtuous maidens coexist with a grittier narrative of survival, heartache, and resilience. The allure of the past is often painted with broad strokes. Yet when we look closer, we find a rich tapestry of life woven with complexities and challenges that mirror our own experiences today. Families were not just units of love and support. They were survival mechanisms in a world that often felt unforgiving and harsh. The dynamics of courtship and marriage were influenced not only by romantic ideals but also by economic necessities, social pressures, and the ever-looming shadow of mortality that in colonial times. Relationships were shaped by the realities of life on the edge of survival, where love could flourish in the most unlikely circumstances. Bundling, for instance, allowed couples to explore intimacy under the watchful eyes of their communities, a ritual that both respected societal norms and acknowledged the human desire for connection. It was a delicate dance between societal expectations and personal longing, where young lovers navigated the tightrope of propriety and passion. The very act of sharing a bed was a bold statement against the backdrop of a society that placed significant emphasis on virtue and chastity. As we peel back the layers of colonial life, we uncover tales of resilience that defy the stereotypes often associated with this era. Families faced the daunting specter of loss, yet they persevered through love, companionship, and the unyielding spirit of survival. The struggle for stability in a world marked by unpredictability was palpable. Every marriage was both a celebration and a gamble, every birth a blessing and a challenge. Life expectancy was a constant concern, with high mortality rates instilling a sense of urgency into familial bonds. The heart-wrenching reality that children might not live to adulthood was a harsh truth that shaped parenting and community dynamics. The burden of loss was heavy, yet it forged connections between families as they navigated the treacherous waters of life. Remarriage was not merely a social norm, but a necessary adaptation to the realities of life, where love was reborn amid the ashes of grief, and new families emerged from the remnants of loss. Amidst the trials, a sense of community emerged as a beacon of hope. Neighbors rallied together, offering support and solace in times of need. Shared experiences, be it through marriage announcements, communal gatherings, or the mutual mourning of losses, helped to weave a fabric of resilience that characterized colonial life. Even in the face of adversity, there was laughter, love, and the indomitable spirit of human connection. Colonial America, with its blend of myth and reality, paints a portrait of a society striving for balance between tradition and change. The stories of our ancestors reveal that the journey of life, with its myriad of challenges and triumphs, is a tale worth exploring. As we sift through historical records and personal narratives, we not only unearth the struggles of those who came before us, but also recognize the shared humanity that transcends time. Through this captivating exploration, we are reminded that the past is not merely a collection of dates and events, but a living narrative filled with the echoes of laughter, the whispers of love, and the shadows of sorrow. Our colonial forebears, with their resilience and determination, laid the groundwork for the complexities we face today. The tapestry of their lives, woven from hardship, love, and survival, continues to influence our understanding of family, community, and the very essence of what it means to be human. In uncovering these stories, we honor their legacy, allowing their experiences to resonate within our own lives as we navigate the ever-changing landscape of human existence. The rich tapestry of experiences that shaped the foundations of our nation, reminding us that behind the historical narratives lie the intimate stories of human resilience and ingenuity. In the colonial era of America, the understanding of health and hygiene was a tangled web of superstition, rudimentary science, and social norms. Amid the medical handbooks that circulated both in England and the colonies, texts like The Birth of Mankind featured various recipes for depilatories, concocted from alarming ingredients such as limestone, arsenic, and other questionable substances. These recipes highlighted the lengths to which individuals would go in pursuit of beauty, often at the cost of their safety. However, it wasn't just beauty treatments that posed risks. The reality of sanitation, or the lack thereof, was a significant concern. During the early years of colonial America, inadequate sanitation was rampant in both rural and urban settings, fostering the rapid spread of diseases. Outhouses and waste containers were often alarmingly close to water sources and living areas, while streets could be lined with a disheartening array of animal excrement, rubbish, and various forms of waste. This deplorable state of hygiene led to the proliferation of diseases such as dysentery, cholera, and typhoid fever, particularly during the oppressive summer months. The year 1676 bore witness to a devastating epidemic of the bloody flux in Boston, which tragically claimed the lives of numerous children within the city. In a tragic twist of fate, Nathaniel Bacon Jr., the leader of Bacon's Rebellion, also succumbed to this same devastating illness that year. Outbreaks of waterborne illnesses were all too common, affecting both civilians and soldiers alike. When George Washington and his troops established camp at Valley Forge in December 1777, nearly two-thirds of his 2,000-strong army fell victim to dysentery, typhoid, and influenza. Military leaders understood all too well the hazards associated with campaigning during the sweltering summer months. In fact, these disease outbreaks may have inadvertently contributed to the success of the colonial forces, as a significant number of British troops stationed in the southern colonies perished from various fevers. Amid these grim realities, attitudes toward personal hygiene exhibited striking variations. Several of the nation's founding fathers voiced their opinions on women's cleanliness, with Thomas Jefferson famously advising his daughter Martha that nothing was more off-putting to men than a lack of cleanliness and refinement in women. During the late 18th century, medical professionals began advocating for regular bathing among women, particularly as a remedy for ailments related to the female reproductive system. While historians noted the prevailing belief that women's natural odors served to temper the excessive ardor of men, the focus on personal cleanliness emerged as a crucial virtue. However, some women resorted to using their natural scent as a defensive mechanism, attempting to make themselves as unappealing as possible to avoid unwanted advances. Yet, this practice of neglecting hygiene led to universally unpleasant odors that were deemed offensive, especially among women themselves. Furthermore, the prevailing Protestant beliefs of the time intertwined closely with notions of cleanliness. Puritans, in particular, viewed uncleanliness as a sin and emphasized the importance of maintaining health through bodily oils and other similar substances. They believed that cleanliness was crucial in preventing diseases and illnesses, intertwining moral values with hygiene. In colonial America, the impact of religious beliefs on bathing habits further complicated these attitudes. Puritans associated a lack of cleanliness with sin and moral failing, leading to societal repercussions. Individuals who engaged in regular bathing were often seen as less likely to partake in sinful activities or wrongdoing, and they were less likely to be impoverished. Water was viewed as a purifying element, capable of cleansing both the body and the mind from impurities. Thus, maintaining clean bodies, clothing, households, and settlements was considered essential for spiritual well-being. Yet, the Puritans wrestled with the idea that excessive bathing could potentially lead to moral degradation. Public bathing facilities were often shunned, believed to be breeding grounds for disease and impropriety, highlighting the complex relationship between cleanliness and morality. And with that, we conclude today's exploration into the intricate relationship between health, hygiene, and societal norms in colonial America. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey through history. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell so you'll be among the first to receive our latest updates. We look forward to seeing you in our next video, where we will continue to uncover the intriguing stories that shape our understanding of the past. For contemporary Americans, the colonial era often exists shrouded in myth, but the gritty realities of daily life tell a different story. Imagine a world where everyday struggles echoed our own. Premarital relationships, unplanned pregnancies, and blended families were common. Hardships like short lifespans, the tragic loss of children, and labor defined existence. Accidents frequently claimed the lives of older children in dangerous settings like farms, barns, and mill ponds. Colonial court records recount heart-wrenching stories of young lives cut short, a grim reality given the size of families and constant work demands. Labor in colonial America consumed every waking hour. Most men were family farmers, planters, indentured servants, enslaved individuals, unskilled laborers, artisans, or merchants. Women complemented their roles by managing households, raising children, and producing goods for trade. Social mobility was a dream for many, with some, after years of indentured servitude, securing land to become tenant farmers. The colonial economy evolved over time, with artisans and skilled workers growing in number as towns expanded. Currency was scarce, and bartering with goods like tobacco replaced cash transactions. The lack of English coins meant foreign money and commodities became currency, adding complexity to trade. Imported goods were expensive. A set of bed sheets, for example, could cost more than the bed itself. Yet life was not just about survival. Courtship practices, like bundling and communal bonds, helped families and communities thrive despite the daily toil and danger. Dinner, the midday meal, was the heartiest, often a time for families to connect with neighbors. Communities relied on enslaved laborers and indentured servants, whose contributions were critical to the economy. Personal hygiene, such as bathing and dental care, was minimal, and barbers or blacksmiths often handled tooth extractions. Wigs were worn to combat lice, but even these required costly upkeep. Despite these challenges, colonial life was filled with resilience, community, and a sense of survival that still resonates today. As we explore the lives of our ancestors, we uncover stories of perseverance and hardship. Behind the myths of colonial America, we find a society shaped by struggle and hope, a reflection of the complexities of human experience. The colonial era serves as a reminder of the indomitable spirit that has carried forward through the ages, continuing to influence the lives we live today.